Hello, Lazio all over the world. Welcome to another episode of Lazio Lounge. Here to review Lazio defeat against Inter at San Siro, 2-1 defeat. I'm joined by Alison McKenzie, who instead was at the Stadio Olimpico watching another unbelievable match. Maybe we're going to talk a little bit about that later on. But Alison, I wasn't expecting anything more. I'm quite happy to just concede 2 goals to this Inter. That is probably the best team of the Serie A so far, and was really confident. Was coming from a winning streak. Was playing great football. Overall, I thought it's a decent performance from Lazio. I wouldn't say good, but a decent performance, right?
Well, you sound more upbeat than I expected you to be honest. You're surprising me. Is this the new optimistic Vittorio?
Of 2022, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but to be fair, I think a lot of people, from what I've seen, have kind of shared this reaction to the game, which I think says a lot about where we are right now. To be honest, the fact that you go to Inter, lose a game 2-1 against, let's not forget, the team that Lazio have already beaten this season, and a lot of people are fairly happy with it just because they expected worse.
Well, let's not forget that Lazio is the only team in Serie A that have beaten Inter this season. The only one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And obviously, circumstances are very different between that game and this one. And, not just this being an away match, but like you mentioned, the Inter had won 7 games in a row going into this. They hadn't even conceded a goal for 6 matches. So for Lazio to be within, they were still in the game at the end.
Yeah.
And I think even that is maybe more than we feared after the Empoli match. But I don't think you can ever be that. You can never be totally content with losing a game, can you? Because it still leaves Lazio in a difficult position.
Yeah, and we have to be honest. I think Lazio had like 32% of ball possession. This tells you a lot. But even the goal Lazio conceded, they were, I wouldn't say silly, but a little bit mistakes from our defense again. So, yeah, I think Inter deserved to win, but again, there's something that Lazio has to improve. And this leads me to the first question, Alistair. Radu starting, central defender. What's your take on his performance?
Well, I mean, I think what you can really expect from Radu at this stage is probably that he comes in and does a job. And that was essentially what we saw. I was a little bit surprised, actually, that he was selected. I don't know about you, but from the way, when Sarri was asked about it before the game, he talked about that Lucas Leiva's ability to play as a centre-back. He also talked about the fact that he sees Radu more as a left-back than a centre-back, although he thinks he has the quality to even play midfield. So I think we would have chosen Radu pre-match, but I was a little bit surprised that Sarri did. But I mean, it's the same old thing, isn't it? I think you can rely on Radu to, I don't think he was superb yesterday. I don't think he was terrible. I think he just went in and did a job, and you can rely on that. But it's not what you want really if you're seriously considering a top 4 push or to be a team fighting for important places.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was thinking about Leva playing central defender, and this is maybe an option for the coming matches. But when I saw that Saturday he tried Radu in the central back with Luis Felipe, I thought, well, this is what's coming. And the other thing is, I don't understand why Patrick was coming in, why Patrick came in against Empoli, and why he was the first option instead of Radu there. I thought, as you were saying, Radu did nothing exceptional, but was clean, didn't do any stupid mistakes. And again, looking the performance of Luis Felipe, who did some good things, but at the same time did a couple of silly mistakes like he did against Empoli, then, I would say, well, I prefer Radu than Luis Felipe. And if Luis Felipe is our starter, then Radu is not far away from Luis Felipe, which is a problem because we're rating very high Luis Felipe. So Um, I think Sari should try Leiva, central defender, even because he could be a good option for when Lazio attack, starting from behind, having this playmaker from the central defender. That could be an option. Um, but yeah, I thought, no, go on. You're not convinced.
Well, no, it's not that. I mean, I think the way I put it yesterday is like, at this point, you may as well give it a go. I am not convinced that it's going to be the answer to Lazio's problems. Lazio celebrated their 122nd birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Lazio! But Lucas Leiva also celebrated his birthday yesterday, and he's now 35. So I don't think we can realistically expect that Lucas dropping back into centre back at that stage of his career is going to be the answer to our problems. Even though I do agree, it can't get an awful lot worse recently, so you may as well give it a go.
Yeah, obviously it's not going to be the long-term solution. We're going to talk about transfer market later this week, so we won't go further on the transfer market. I know someone asked, why don't you give a go to Vavro as well? I think the answer came. I think the answer came yesterday after the match. Sarri said, well, we have to improve even the numbers of players available, because number-wise, we're there. Lazio have 24 players in the list of over 22. But in this list, Alistair, there is Denis Vavro, who played 0 minute. There was Escalante, who we saw that played 5 minutes. And now instead of Escalante, there is Johnny, who has been added. And he's not only he didn't play a minute, he hasn't been called twice when he had the chance, right? Against Empoli, he wasn't in the list. Yesterday, he wasn't in the list. So yes, he's physically there, but it's just because we needed a player and we simply add him. So Sarri made a valid point. I don't have that many options compared to the other teams.
Yeah, which is always been the issue. I mean, it did make me I did kind of reflect on that yesterday with the fact that Inter's 2 goals both came from centre backs, and Bastoni's strike was, I mean, when you look at the reverse angle of it, it's an incredibly well placed strike from a centre back in that position. Then he provides a brilliant cross, which Skriniar scores. So they've got 2 goals coming from the centre backs, and the second one set up by a centre back. And I was thinking, God, Inzaghi must be liking this. The difference he's had moving from Lazio to Inter in terms of what he's got available to him in defence. He must be really, really enjoying that, because I was thinking this kind of thing, he's not playing a very different style of football at all at Inter to what he did at Lazio. Basically. But when he was at Lazio, there was, he wasn't going to be able to get those moments out of the players he had. Yes, Radu from left back would occasionally put in nice crosses and score some goal to create some goals, but he didn't really score those kind of goals himself, Stefan Radu. And you wouldn't have Patrick storming into the box to head one home off the bar either. So I'm sure Inzaghi's enjoying himself with that.
Yeah, I could see Patrick doing the same thing of Bastoni, only putting the ball over the Tersanello, right? I can see it happening. Yeah, and we have to say that his side performance wasn't very good. I thought he made the error on the first goal of Bastoni. He didn't dash against him and give him time to stop the ball and shoot. And even in the first goal that was disallowed of Lautaro Martinez, he's keeping. Well, he's not keeping, but he's very close to keeping Lautaro on side. So we often talk about the central defender, but I think part of the problems Lazio is facing are the right and left back, because even Marusic is not playing great football. So plenty of work to do, plenty of things to fix. Sarri said, I hope we can sign someone this January, because we need a lot of players, and doing all of this in one session is going to be quite complicated.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot to do with that. We're planning on a Mercato special podcast later this week, so we'll save our big in-depth transfer discussions for then. But Yeah, I mean, the thing about Husai, I think that goal you mentioned, the disallowed goal, the kind of freeze frame of that offside was actually a great summary of Lazio's kind of defense at the moment, where you see Luis Felipe stepping out of the line and Husai faced 180 degrees in the other direction, sprinting backwards. And it's that kind of communication that's really causing problems. But I did see, I mean, obviously, Luis Alberto dropped again is another talking point from this game. And I did see, I was reading about how, I think it was in Corriere dello Sport today, a piece about how Lazio, the defense being what it is, being unable to kind of defend the way Sarri wants high up the pitch and so on. Are Lazio better off just going all out attack and putting Alberto back in the team rather than trying to bring in a player who brings more balance and maintaining a high line, accepting the consequences, but also accepting that they're going to be able to score a lot of goals, and essentially using the Empoli model of kind of absolute chaos as your actual game plan? Do you think that? What do you think?
You know what? Yesterday, watching the match, I was thinking, well, Basic is not giving anything. He's not playing that well. Why don't he brings in Luis Alberto straight away? And when Luis Alberto came in, I said, okay, give me back Basic because at least he was playing. I thought Luis Alberto, in fact, yesterday was invisible. It was tough, to be honest, coming in just after Inter score. It was complicated, but I didn't see Luis Alberto providing what we was hoping for. So I understand why you start Basic. It's true what you said. Lazio yesterday defended better, but created pretty much nothing. So it's tough. It's tough because you need different type of players to play the Sarri ball. Said this, I think the quality of Lazio is different when Milinkovic-Savic and Luis Alberto play together. I thought yesterday one of the reasons why Inter dominated was Gagliardini was marking man-to-man Milinkovic-Savic. And yesterday, if you stop Milinkovic, then Lazio didn't have other options, right? Instead, if you had Luis Alberto, then it would have been complicated because, okay, you go man-to-man on Milinkovic-Savic, but I have Luis Alberto free. So I could have created much more chances. I think this should be the goal of Maurizio Sarri going forward, finding a way to play both Milinkovic-Savic and Luis Alberto together. Maybe starting Zaccagni and using the wingers that defends a little bit more, come back a little bit more to support the midfield. That could be an option. But I think that's should be the goal of this season because, as you were mentioning, Lazio is a completely different team with those two playing together. Yes, we are very offensive-minded. We risk a lot. But at the same time, we are able to score a lot of goals with them. While yesterday, to be honest, the goal Lazio scored was a gift from De Vrij and Skriniar. And after that, I think we had just 2 chances. So not enough, I think, for win.
No, and it was good quick thinking from Cataldi to spot that there was that area to knock the ball into and kind of create that confusion. And I think at this stage as well, any goal scored against Inter, you have to applaud because I'd mentioned before 6 games clean sheets. Didn't make a note of it. It was the first goal they've conceded in 587 minutes.
I don't remember. When was Lazio last time Lazio conceded a goal? 2020, 2019? When was it?
Yeah. I mean, it's quite a foreign idea to us, let's say. But yeah, I mean, so in an attacking sense, yes, it's always going to be hard against Inter. Pedro did draw a good save from Handanovic. There was that Milinkovic-Savic chance early in the second half, which
that could have changed the game. I thought
that was a big opportunity. Yeah.
He scored against Empoli, just like that, right?
Yeah.
It was very, very similar. This time he put it wide.
Yeah, exactly. So there were chances there, but I mean, Inter will say the same thing. And Thomas Chikosha made a couple of really, really good saves to stop that being a far more comfortable game than it could have been for them. which is good to see. I mean, Strakosha, though, he made 2 good saves, but also maybe could have done better in other moments. I don't know what was your take on him.
Yeah, it was a strange performance from Thomas Strakosha, because that save is simply bizarre, I would say. He moved that hand so fast, so quick. And same thing in the second half, right? He made a save, I don't know against who, when he's 1-on-1 against the player.
Yeah.
I got the impression, though, Alistair, he's like glue on the goalkeeper's line. A couple of times he could have step out, come up, and grab the ball and help a little bit better the defense. I don't know if he could have made it on the second goal of Inter. Maybe that cross was too fast and a little bit too far away. But I think watching Lazio defense, maybe you need a goalkeeper who is more in charge of the penalty box, who is able to come out a couple of times and grab those cross that creates so many issues for Lazio. And don't seem Strakosha so confident in that. So honestly, I was surprised. I think Corriere dello Sport or Messaggero gave him 5.5. That in Italian grades is not sufficient. So 6 is average. Below 6 is not enough. I mean, just for the 2 saves he made, I thought he should deserve 7 out of 10. But he didn't give to me the confidence, the security I need from a goalkeeper. And I think the defender had the same impression yesterday.
Yeah, no, I agree with. I think that is the main thing. It was the projection of confidence, and as even small moments like that, the Sanchez free kick, which kind of seemed to be. I mean, on the replay, it looked like it swerved a bit, but it was just a really weird save where he just kind of sticks up one arm and bats it down straight in front of him, and they got away with it. But if that had resulted in a rebound, he would have been criticised a lot for the way.
I don't understand, because he's moving left while the ball is going on the other side, and he's fast enough to put the right hand on the right side to save it. So I didn't see enough replays to see if the balls really move to the other side, or he's, I don't know, surprised or was expecting the trajectory there. But yeah, that's again. I think Strakosha is so fast that sometimes he gets away with things that are wrong, like that one, because he's so fast in reflex and things like that he can save himself. But yeah, I was a little bit surprised there, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it was not a perfect performance, but not 5.5. I think safe to say. What do you think? What do you think about this continued selection of Basic? Because I was wondering, how much has he actually been playing? And I had a look at it, and he started 6 games this season, but 5 of them have been since December. So he's clearly kind of working his way up in the rankings and in Sarri's eyes. And the other game he started was actually the first game against Inter as well, which may well have, played a big part in why he was selected again tonight. But I mean, you kind of already addressed that. You think it's better off going forward with Alberto and Milinkovic?
Well, I was surprised to see Basic start against Inter when we were home. Everybody was expecting Luis Alberto to start and Basic start, and I thought he played well. I thought what Sarri is trying to do is give this team a little bit of. I know you like the Empoli match, but from a manager point of view, that's a sort of nightmare. Every time Empoli was attacking, they scored or they created a huge chance, which is not acceptable for a team that's fighting for the Champions League. So I think with Basic, the midfield, it's a little bit better. You lose something in attack, you gain something in defense. So I think this is the reason why Basic is starting instead of Luis Alberto. I think, though, I love Basic. I thought he's a great signing, but you have to find a way to start Luis Alberto close to Milinkovic-Savic. And again, I can understand against this Inter after the performance against Empoli. Let's not forget that Inter didn't play Thursday, so they had a week of rest while Lazio was obviously more tired because they played Thursday. So maybe he opted for a more balanced team. And with Basic, you are more balanced. But again, every time Zaccagni and Lazzari come in, this team created chances. So I'm more concerned why, especially seeing this Isai, Lazzari doesn't start anymore.
Do you think there would be any future in? It's not something we've even really seen suggested much, to be honest, which suggests no before I ask you this question. But considering we're talking about things like putting Lucas at centre back, what about the idea of using Basic as the central midfield in the three? Because he's been put in the team for his ability to kind of have the work rate to go up both ends, to defend, to win the ball, to play the ball.
Yep.
Is there any reason that shouldn't be an experiment at some point?
Well, the problem is Sarri said it in September. He said that he cannot play there. I hope he changes his mind and tries it. I thought Cataldi played well yesterday, and he hasn't played that well lately. So this is encouraging. Obviously, having Basic, maybe it's a big advantage, even because the other thing we have to consider that one of the reasons why Basic started when we were playing at home against Inter is because Inter has a very physical midfield. And Lazio with Milinkovic-Savic and Basic can counteract this very strong Inter midfield. If you take off Basic and you play Cataldi and Luis Alberto, then we lose a lot. And this could be a problem going forward. So Basic could be very important. And again, I don't want to say the season is over, Alistair, but we are like 9 points from the fourth spot now. And Atalanta has a match on hand as well. So maybe it's time for a couple of experiments right now.
Yeah, I don't think the season is over, but the top four is over. I mean, but I think that was maybe wishful thinking anyway. I mean, Sarri said that himself yesterday, didn't he? That was never an agreed target anyway at the start, because they have to bring down the average age of the squad. They have to, get the team playing in a different way. It's a transition year, essentially. And I think if you're thinking of this as a transition year, which we should be, I think you probably want to be finishing just in the European places, preferably Europa League. I don't really want to be in the Conference League next year, which would obviously mean top six. I think top six is still realistic if you look at the problems Roma are having, Juve are having, Fiorentina are having a good season, but this is new to them. So yeah, I think that's still an open possibility, just because other teams around us have been equally kind of inconsistent this year. But I think we really want to see improvement in the second half of the season, especially defensively. But I think most people just want to see a bit more of the Sarri identity being stamped on this team than he's managed to do so far, where it's kind of come in flashes rather than any sort of consistency.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. And I do think, though, that even making a couple of experiments, Lazio could still fight for the Euro League spot. I don't want to say we should try Leva playing a central defender, but, we're playing Salernitana next weekend. So it's going to be a very important match for them. But you could
risk... won a game.
They won a game. So, risking something, trying something different, maybe give another chance to Lazzari. I think he deserved it. Starting Zaccagni, maybe instead of Pedro, who looks to be a little bit tired these days. Rotate something. Now, I'm not saying start Murici, because I think Murici is out, but, try something different and see how what's the result, and then take it from there. Maybe Basic start midfield. That would be... try Basic, Luis Alberto, Milinkovic-Savic, and see how things go. Maybe try this week. finally Lazio has a full week of training, which is something Sarri was asking for. So I don't think, and we're gonna talk it later this week. Anything is gonna come this week from the transfer market. So you only have the players available now. So just try and do something different.
If things don't improve, do you think there's a chance we'll see a change of formation? Because that's the one thing that has stuck
Yeah.
completely since he came in. Sarri has not deviated from the 4-3-3, at least in his starting formation. But if this team is utterly unable to have a balance where they can defend and attack in the same match, I don't expect. I'm not really talking about a return to a back three or anything. I mean more a 4-4-2, for example, or a 4-3-1-2, something he's tried before at Empoli. Do you think there's a chance of him kind of essentially adding an extra midfielder at
Uh,
some point?
when did we see it? The 4-4-2 with Murishi playing close to Shiro. Last minute of
Yeah.
I don't remember which match. I don't think so. I think one of the reasons why Sarri accepted Lazio's job is because Lotito guaranteed that he could play 4-3-3, and nobody would push him to change that. I think when he accepted this job, he was convinced that this team was suited for the 4-3-3. Now I think he understood that maybe some players are not able or are willing to adapt to this 4-3-3. I don't think he's going to change though. I don't think he's going to start a match with another selection. The only chance is, we're going to miss 3 players and he's going to have to force them to change something. The other thing I was thinking is Lazio Primavera has a couple of very interesting players. Seeing how Isa is playing badly, I don't want to say that Floriani Mussolini should start, but at least being called and maybe giving a chance in the second half. I think that could be something Sarri should think of going forward. Castigliani, Floriani. We have a couple of interesting players. Koulibaly, it's another player that is very interesting. So that could be an option.
How have the Primavera been doing? I mean, you keep a closer eye on them than I do. So what's the situation like?
Well, they hopefully, because the situation in Italy is becoming complicated again. Hopefully, they will restart next weekend. They had a long winter break. They finished quite well. I think Mussolini is injured, so he didn't play the last couple of matches. But there are a couple of players interesting. Castigliani. Finally, we have a striker, Valerio Crespi, that looks promising. This is, for people who are not aware, the first batch of players that has been selected by Bianchessi. So you can see a change of pace and quality of this team. But let's forget this is Lazio's playing in the Serie B, so the position is not great. But still, I see some very interesting players coming up. So it could be interesting going forward, especially next year when some of this will hopefully reach the first division, first team of Lazio.
Well, yeah, I mean it's a bit strange that we started the season with Moro and Romero getting games, and they've completely gone out of the picture now as well. So, I mean, I guess that's coincided with Zaccagni coming into the team and him being the extra option. But it would be nice to maybe see a bit more of them as well. There's a Coppa Italia coming up next week, I think. Yep. Yes,
amazing time, 5:30, right, on Thursday, if I'm not wrong. I mean,
yeah, perfect.
Yeah, no, Tuesday. Sorry.
At least the crowd sizes are being restricted now, so we can just blame that. But yeah, I mean, I think this round of Coppa Italia is something we've always seen as like an opportunity to experiment a little bit. To be fair, usually because Lazio are playing a Serie B team at this stage and not Udinese. But I do wonder what Sarri will do at that point. If we will see something a bit more experimental, because if we're going to, I think it has to be really there rather than in a Serie A match.
Yeah, but would you be happy if Lazio started against Udinese with Raul Moro starting and something like that?
I wouldn't mind. Why not? I
So
mean,
you would be happy to go out first round in the Coppa Italia?
yeah, but you can still play a strong team and start Moro. It
Yep.
doesn't mean you have to sacrifice your entire team or rotate the entire team. I just think that it'd be nice to see these young guys who've been, you're not throwing them out of Serie B Primavera, you're throwing them out of the bench onto the pitch. It's a very different step up you're asking of these guys. And if they're in the first team squad, they should be in the first team squad to be getting
Yep.
used and to getting experience.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree. We are so spoiled by Simone Inzaghi, who would play Marco Barolo and you know, even in a friendly match, that we don't even think about it. I hope it does, even because I think even Udinese will rotate players. They are not focused on the Coppa Italia, right? So I would love to see Luca Romero start. I would really love. And
Something else. Sorry, on you go.
no, go first.
No, it just made me think. I was the mention of Inzaghi. It was just making me laugh recently. Remembered the with all these games where one team is showing up. It made me remember the Torino game last season where we'd been talking for ages about give Marici a start and give people a chance. And when they named the team, they had Marici in the team, and I think Parolo was at wing back or something. And it was just this kind of banter team that Inzaghi had picked just because he knew that he wasn't actually going to have to try and keep them in position.
I'm still disappointed that he didn't start. The third goalkeeper put Parolo on goal.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you know,
yeah. Good times.
yep, yeah. Well, again, I would still try it against Udinese, and I don't think fans would be so disappointed if we don't go through the Coppa Italia this season. So, talking about Coppa Italia, what's your take on Sari's words? He said, it would be better without the European competition. So I don't think he's focusing a lot on Coppa Italia, though. Do you agree? Do you understand what's your take on this? Better avoid the Europe leagues?
Well, no, I mean, no, I don't agree with that. I think the Europa League is a good competition, and it's something Lazio should be putting a lot of effort into. But I just think that for him, I can understand where he's coming from, because from his standpoint, like we've said for ages now, what he really wants to be doing is getting on the training pitch with the squad and coaching them and trying to get them to understand what he wants them to do and trying to improve the team and improve their performances that way. And since he's arrived at Lazio, he's had very little opportunity to do that, because between the league schedule being busier than it ever has been, and the bit of fixture chaos this winter and a winter break and international breaks and all this stuff, he's barely had any time, really. There's been games every few days pretty much since he arrived. So at this point, when you usually kind of turn the year and there's a less hectic fixture schedule, and he's probably looking it up now and going, hang on, it's still the same. It's still a game every 3 days. I mean, this week must be the first week in ages that he's had between matches to prepare a full week for a league match. So I think it's probably just coming from that frustration more than anything.
Well, to be honest, we have Porto, so it could be soon over, right? Playing every 3 days. So that could be a huge advantage, or not. I don't know.
Yeah, this is true. Hopefully not. But yeah.
By the way, did you see the son of Sergio Conceição scored a late goal with Porto this weekend?
I didn't. That's good. See, I told you, two generations.
Yep.
They're both going to come to Lazio.
I hope so. I hope so. Alice, I think we can wrap it up here. Or do you have other argument you want to talk?
No, the only thing I want to mention before we finish is the obligatory Ciro Immobile praise moment, because yesterday was his 15th goal of the season, and that's the 6th year in a row he's done that, 15 league goals. And there's only 2 players who've done the same in the top 5 European leagues. Do you know who they are? Can you guess, Vittorio? Have you already seen this?
Yep. I just saw it. Yeah, I remember.
Are you cheating? Googling
But you
it.
go. You go.
Well, that'll give the listeners enough time to guess. It's Robert Lewandowski and Mohamed Salah. So those
Are
two
you,
and Chiro, the only people to score 15 league goals in the top 5 leagues for 6 years in a
are you sure Ken is not there?
row. Pretty sure. I've done the maths. He's close.
Sorry, they told me that Ken is much better than Ciro Immobile. He should start for Italy. Are you
No,
sure?
it's Scamacca now. It's moved on. And Scamacca's the one who's
Okay,
a lot better
sorry,
than
sorry,
Chiro
sorry.
now. Yeah.
I have to say, yesterday, Ken or Keen, I don't know how you pronounce it, was simply astonishing for Juventus. What a match! What a performance! I mean, Ciro's days with the national team are gone.
Well, yeah. Yeah, well, we know how we feel about that one.
Well,
But
I think
but moments like that, when I do think that kind of statistic that shows it outlines the consistency he's had for that length of time, and it's just crazy that his reputation outside of Lazio isn't better than it is, because that is an astonishingly good record.
can we say something to wrap it up? We are Lazio fan, but we are very honest with our ratings, with our judgment. And we always said that Ciro's Immobile's performance at Lazio has been unbelievable. But seeing people talking about Kane better than Ciro Immobile simply makes you understand that people or don't watch football or don't understand football, because he's young, he can be talented as you want, but he's simply embarrassing. I mean, yesterday Juventus was playing one man down, and when Morata came up, it's not a coincidence they scored 3 goals in 7 minutes. So it's annoying, because it's Ciro Immobile who get penalized for this stupid judgment, but simply people watch football without knowing nothing about football, or without honestly, I think.
Well said. I have nothing else to add.
Well, we can add that we are going to try to do a transfer market special for this week, even though I'm not sure Lazio will sign any players, but we'll try our best. Maybe Gitare will listen to us and do something this winter. So get ready. Probably Thursday, Friday, we're going to do a special on winter Lazio transfer market. And so join us there. Remember to subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Spreaker, iTunes. We are also on Twitch. Look for us on Lazio World on Twitch. Subscribe to our Twitch channel, and we're gonna talk about Lazio pretty soon. Thanks again, Alistair.
Cheers.